So before we can activate economy, we need to make sure it's active in the global settings. So if we go to the global settings, you can see that economy is enabled. So this means that it's going to be enabled for all our game servers. And we can also change the name of the currency. In this case, it's called Takaro coins, but maybe you want to rename it to something that fits your community much better. Now, if we go to game servers, for example, Rust, this one, we can also check the settings of this game server. And as you can see, we can override the global settings of economy and make sure that it's also enabled for this specific game server. And you can also change individually per game server the name of your coins. Now, this was the first thing that we needed to do. Of course, the second thing is installing the right module. In this example, it's the EconomyUtils module. So this is going to make sure that you can use economy. There are 8 commands, 1 cron job, but also 2 permissions. So after installing this module, we need to check out the permissions as well and see where we can actually override them or make sure that the right people or the right roles have these permissions. Now, I've already installed this module. So as you can see here, we see the user configuration. There is a pending amount, which means we're going to ask for an extra confirmation if they're transferring money, the players with each other. If it's 0, it will not be enabled. But what's also interesting is the zombie kill reward. So in this case, you get 1 currency per kill you do. We can, of course, override it here, but also in the roles. This can be useful if you have certain tiers like a gold platinum member that gets more rewards than the normal players. Now, when we talk about system config, we see that we have 1 cron job and 8 commands. So this cron job, what it's going to do, it's actually a batch that is running every 5 minutes to check how many coins he needs to reward to the right player, based of course on the zombie kill reward and the amount of zombies that he has killed. Now we also have these 8 commands. So as discussed, transfer is actually transferring money from one player to another. We can add a delay as well as a cooldown, but also a cost to it. And if you want, you can also change the command name with an alias. For example, maybe you want to call it /give or something that makes more sense for your community, gives you also some flexibility on the commands that you want to provide. Now, top currency will give you an overview of the top currency. The shop is very important, of course, to have access to the shop in game. Then we have revoke currency. As it says itself, it's going to revoke currency. This is also a command that's mostly rewarded or given to administrators, as you do not want players to do this. Same for grant currency, as well as confirm transfer, which is in relationship with the first item we saw earlier to confirm the transfer above a certain amount. A claim is important if you bought an item in the web Takaro and have not yet claimed it in game. But I will explain that a bit later as well. And then the balance will show you how much balance a player has. So these are actually all the commands and cron jobs connected to the EconomyUtils module. What we also need to check is everything related to these 2 permissions. And also, we're just talking about economy here, but the same applies to all the other modules, right? It's all about commands, cron jobs, permissions, hooks, and we make sure that we can use them based on the right role. Now, if we go to our roles, we of course see the player role, which is a system role, which also means that every time a player joins, he gets this role assigned. And if you want to check what is part of this role, you will see that there are like system permissions, but logically these are all disabled because I don't want all my players to have a system permission. And what's also interesting is that every time you install a module with permissions, just like the one we did, you will see that you have flexibility in overriding them or enabling them and giving the right permission using module permissions. For example, let's take one that's part of the EconomyUtils, as you can see here. And you see the zombie kill reward override. So this means that this role player, if he put 5, he has 5 zombie kill reward instead of 1. This maybe you want to differentiate based on the importance of your players. For example, gold members, silver members. Maybe the silver members get 2 currency, gold members 5, platinum 10, and so on and so on. So this helps you differentiate permissions and roles inside Takaro towards your players. And then manage currency, as it states itself, it's going to allow you to revoke or give currency to certain players. And this is really something you want to enable for administrators, right? This is not something that you want to have activated on the player role. So yeah, that's actually it related to the second step, meaning installing the modules, assigning the right permissions. Now we still have one thing to do, and that is checking out the shop. So if we go back to our game server, we see that there is also a tab shop and orders. And as you can see here, these are all the listings that I have for this server. So at this stage, every game server can have its own shop, and you can create listings, packages, individual items of that game server. Now, for example, if we go to shop actions, we can create a new shop listing. We can export the listing, can be useful if you want to export, import your whole shop, but we've also made it a bit more easier that you can import listings from game server, which means if you have a second game server set up, you can take that configuration of that shop and load it in your in this game server so that you don't have to redo everything. Now we know this, right? We have these import export capabilities. We can create a new shop listing. So we can give it a friendly name like gun. We can assign it a price. And then we can also assign it items. So we can decide on one item or we can add 2 items. It really depends what you want. What's important to know is that the items that you see here are actually fetched from your server. So this means that all the items that you want to provide will be here as well. And as you can see, we can add some items and save, and then we see that this is also created as a shop listing. And later, we are also going to make sure that you can upload custom images so that you have a nicer tile to show to your community. Now, what else we have is like a way to maybe see it differently. Um, as you can see here, you can also start to use filters maybe based on a certain column, or we can also do it based on like a table search, and he will search everything related to the gun, cross column. And what we also have, of course, is the orders. So you can monitor orders coming in from your community, which listing they've bought, what's the status. So as you can see, this gun is only paid. It's not yet claimed. That's important to know because I need to go online in the game server and do /claim. When does this happen is, of course, when a player is buying from the web shop instead of in-game. And then as an administrator, I can decide if I want to cancel the order or not. Same here. This is a completed order. I have all the information, and that's how I can really manage everything that's related to orders and shop. Now, if players want to buy items of the shop, they can go inside the game server and do /shop. They will get an overview of all the items that are available, what's the price, which items are included in each shop listing. And also, if they want to see some detail, they have to do /shop1, which is page 1 of the shop. And then 1 is selecting the first item, which then gives you more detail what that item is all about. And finally, if they want to buy an item, they have to do /shop11 space buy. So this means that they finally bought it. They will receive this item in their inventory as it will be automatically claimed. Then again, if they buy inside the web shop or the website, they still need to do /claim when they do so. Now, if you want them to access the web shop, they have to go to the game server and do /link, and then they will receive a web link. If they go to that web link, they will be asked that code and their email, and then they're going to link their player profile to a real Takaro account, which allows them to access your community from their perspective, and then they're able to buy something from the shop. So once they fill this in, they will normally get an email to verify their account, and then they receive this beautiful email. Once they've done this, they can fill in their email as well as their password. And finally, they will have access to the web shop from their perspective. As you can see here, they can buy items, check the shop listings. But then again, if they're not in game, they're not able to claim it. So it's very important to tell them once they go online that they do /claim to have their items.